Good evening.
It's nice to meet you.
Could I interest you in some tea?
So what happened after the boat sank?
I was alone, and then something very swift and frightening moved by me.
A walrus saved your life?
The walrus is far more evolved than any man I've heard of. Present company included.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Would you? Would you?
There. It'll be all right, Mr. Tusk.
I'm so scared. This guy wants to turn me into an animal or something. I don't want to die in Canada.
Hey everybody, welcome to You Have to Watch This podcast. I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
And this is going to be a drunk episode because why not? So we're continuing our horror themed month for Halloween and continuing our Kevin Smith week at the same time. So today we're talking about a film that is not part of the View Askew-verse, but is written and directed by Kevin Smith.
You wouldn't know it.
I've been trying to come up with headcanon that connects it all. Trust me.
Don't you dare.
Today we're talking about we're talking about Tusk. I can't even describe it. We're talking about Tusk today. This is a 2013 film directed by Kevin Smith after he came out of retirement. I use that term lightly. So this is the first film outside of the Jay and Silent Bob films that we've talked about, directed by Kevin Smith. I had seen this once before when it first came out on DVD.
Whoa.
5 years ago. So this movie is 5 years old. So It's been a while, but I've had it on the list for a while. Like I kind of want to make you guys watch this for Halloween one year. And then it finally happened. It just happened to work out that Jay and Silent Bob Reboot comes out this week. So.
Can we just tell the truth on how this happened?
How
No,
did it happen?
You brought it up to us. You brought it up to Devon and I. And you said it was bad. It wasn't good. And you warned us on this.
Yeah.
And one of the two of us, not me, said,
it was me.
Ooh, I want to see it. I want to see it. Put it on the list. Put it on the list. And I was staring at Devon going, I've seen this look from Alan before. I know this isn't going to be good. We shouldn't do this. But no, apparently my facial expression does not work over webcam.
No, I guess
Guys,
not.
And he just kept on going.
Okay. Well, here, this is why. Because if you look at the shot of what Devin sees from us, you're not in it.
No, I don't see you at all. There you are.
There we go.
Hold on. I'm going to ruin your night. Hold on. Let me ruin your night, Ryan. I liked this movie. I genuinely liked the movie and would watch it again.
I'm gonna take the middle ground. Is I like parts of this movie, but it's bad. Like there are parts of this movie that are cringeworthy and.
Oh yeah, but that's what he was going for.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
No. There's a difference between cringeworthy and only having about 10 minutes worth of like film time that was actually decent. The rest of this was just horrible. I'm sorry, but no, it was bad.
No.
All the way around.
I want to get into this because in my mind, there was way more than 10 minutes of watchable material here.
Okay, we're going to get into this. All right, so I talked about watching this before. You both watched this for the first time.
Yeah.
Obviously. Let me tell you about my experience watching this with Ryan the first time he watched it.
Oh, yes.
So if anyone's listening who hasn't seen the movie Tusk, pretty much it's about a guy a podcaster who gets kidnapped by an old man in Canada because that's where they live, and is drugged and mutilated into being a walrus.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this with Ryan at his house. It's pretty good up to a point. Like I can't really tell how Ryan's feeling about the movie. And then when they finally show the walrus, Ryan laughed harder than I've ever seen him laugh in my life. I've been doing this podcast for 3 years now, 4 years. Never seen him laugh like that. And it went on for about 5 minutes,
Yes.
which is the perfect reaction to have to Justin Long in a walrus suit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Not just a walrus suit. It it was like if somebody took a pleathery tan sleeping bag and shoved it full of packing peanuts and lightly covered his face in plastic and stuck tusks into his mouth. And they tried to purposely make it look as pathetic as possible on a concrete slab in a basement with like projection seagulls in the background.
I mean, that shot is so good.
That shot is good for what they were working with. I'm sorry, but this movie is if you want to keep your kids from smoking pot, hey kids, this is what happens when you smoke weed.
Real quick though, I am not going to say anything about bad makeup and bad prosthetics. Like, it's cheap, I'll give you that. But I just watched most of the documentary on this. They put a lot of hard work into this.
I completely forgot to watch it. You told me to, and I forgot because of
But hold on. I mean, that's kind of the point, though. Is it supposed to look like bad makeup, though, right? Like, because, I mean, he's not literally, like, Justin Long as a walrus isn't supposed to look like a photorealistic walrus. He's supposed to look like human centipeded walrus.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And he does.
So that was my experience. Like that, like afterwards, I've never seen anyone, once the credits start rolling, go for a beer as quickly as I saw Ryan go for a beer after the
Tell the listeners what time it was, Alan.
It was 11:30 in the morning.
We're all drinking right now, by the way.
We are.
But it's also, almost 9 p.m. at night?
Yeah, it's after 9.
Yeah, it's less acceptable for me, but good for you guys.
Yeah.
It's past noon.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Like,
it's true.
Where you are.
Yeah, this is the 5 o'clock.
Okay, so let's talk about the good. What did we like about this movie? Devin, you said you enjoyed the movie. What did you like?
I liked Justin Long's character a lot because he did an excellent job of making you hate him a lot. Like, from what his character was to like who he was, like everything about his character was very compelling. I like the world that they built around everything because it paced itself really well. Where like just where the movie would be getting dull, you got that scene where his girlfriend was like crying into the camera, and then that like little tease where like you knew it was gonna be the co-host, but like you didn't show you the co-host. Like, it paced itself in a really smart and very clever way. And then I am a horror movie guy. I just am. I think existential horror doesn't get enough credit, and I love the fact that it was existential horror.
Okay. Ryan, what's one thing you liked about this movie?
And don't say the end. He starts talking to the old man in like the fire room, in like the fireplace room, when he started talking to him, up until the scene where they pull back and they show him as a walrus.
Okay. That there is a lot of good stuff in there.
Yeah, there is.
Michael Parks.
That segment
is phenomenal.
Segment.
Oh, he's so good.
I understand what Kevin Smith was doing. Devin, don't get me wrong. I understand what he was going for, and he nailed it. Okay. I'll admit he nailed what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's fine. I hate the fact that you made me watch this.
I mean, that's the point of the show. Is this the first movie that you've absolutely hated that we watched?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know we've been close on some other things.
We've been close, yes, but this is but legitly, this is the first time where, like, this is my Battlefield Earth or Battle Earth. Like, to me, this is that movie.
Okay. So I learned some stuff about this movie watching the documentary. So the inspiration for this movie is widely known to be the podcast. There's an episode of Smodcast where Kevin Smith and Scott Mosier just talk out the beats of this movie. Like they come out with the story with that. It's in the end credits of the movie. So if you go back,
is that what that? Yeah.
So I didn't realize that this is based on a true ad that somebody posted over in Europe for a lodging situation. This kid posted a thing about, I will let you live with me for free, no rent needing to be paid, but once a week I need you to put on this walrus suit.
What?
And it like made news and was an actual thing. And that was the inspiration behind the podcast and why they were talking about this. And they're like, oh man, this is a horror movie. So that's what started this whole thing. Some guy actually posted an ad wanting to have somebody be in a walrus costume. It was a joke.
Wonderful.
It was a joke ad. And they got him on set as an associate producer. So he actually came over to North Carolina when they were filming and was on set. So I thought that was cool.
That's really cool.
That's something I didn't know. Does that change anything you thought?
No.
Okay.
All right, Ryan, what would it take for you to come to my side on this? What would it take for you to love this movie?
There's nothing. I'm sorry, but
okay, we talked about good stuff. I really want to know what you hated. Like, I want to know what about the movie was to the point where you were like, I don't want any of this anymore.
The only way horror works for me is if the person who's having the horrible stuff done to them is a likable character.
Interesting.
It has to rip my heart out. Him being turned into a walrus has to upset me in some way. And it didn't. He got what he deserved. Everything that he went through, everything that happened at the end, he deserved to lose her. Her being upset and being hurt, yeah, that sucks, but that's what needed to happen to begin with because of her crying into the camera. Like, she needed to end up with the Sixth Sense kid. I mean...
That's a good way to put that.
Which, by the way, like, his face has not changed.
It's weird.
All. Like, he has grown, but if anybody listening, take your hand, just like you're gonna put like binoculars up to your eyes and just kind of like round out like your features, like your eyes, nose, and mouth, and like that's it. That has not changed on him since.
It's like the baby filter is stuck on his face.
It is.
Yeah, it really is though.
Oh man, he just showed up on The Boys on Amazon. Like, he shows up for an episode or two, and I was like, holy shit.
No, he does. Yeah.
Did you watch it?
I did. I love it.
I loved it too. Ryan would hate it. No, I agree that he is completely unlikable, and I get that, like, needing to feel sympathy for your main character.
Yeah,
but I feel like at the point where he makes the phone calls, like he's turned, like he's back to the old Wallace that they talk about in the flashbacks.
If that's the old Wallace, then it's too late for me because he's already put himself in the position that he's in. Because, I mean, for crying out loud, he's in, even though it's probably not that old guy's house, he probably murdered the people that actually live there. But he's going on, like, he's not even hiding the fact that he's being cynical and snarky towards the guy about his stuff and his stories. So, like, at the time he passes out for the first time, I was thinking, like, okay, well, he got what he deserved. If he's obviously going to turn into a walrus, I don't care. And then, of course, they show him trying to, like, panic and everything. And I'm like, dude, too late. Like, it's just like if somebody... It's the same thing of, like, a mass murderer shooting up a public place. The cops show up, shoot him in the kneecap, and he's there crying on the ground that he's sorry. Like, sorry, too late. Yeah. I don't care.
I've been thinking too much about this movie all week, and I want to posit that the Kill Bill kid at the very beginning is the entire thesis of the movie. And the point of the movie is, how do we react to self-inflicted permanent disability and the existential horror that comes from that? I think that Kill Bill Kid was the small encapsulation of that, and then Wallace the Walrus was the full-blown encapsulation of it, or it to its logical horror existential extreme.
Devin, this is a drunk episode. How dare you get deep and like?
That's what happens when I drink.
Like,
I'm 2 beers in already.
No, that's a very good thesis for this.
So I mean, if that's the thesis, then Wallace has to be terrible because it's self-inflicted. So all of his choices and decisions up until this point have to make him be that walrus, and it is more of an extreme than Kill Bill Kid, because Kill Bill Kid was just messing around with the sword and chopped a leg off. He is permanently and irrevocably disfigured, has no chance of a normal life aside from eating mackerel or whatever that was. Like, and I think that his bad behavior had to have been extreme enough to warrant that much of an extreme disability.
I would only You asked what would make things a little bit different for me.
Yeah.
Instead of just showing him cry like twice at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I want to see something where he is stuck being a walrus, but mentally he is human, that he's not a walrus in his head, that it's not, everybody just assumes that he's gone full walrus because of what he went through. It's like, no, he's actually Wallace inside. If they could have shown that in a way, then maybe, yes, I'd feel a little bit different about it. I mean, I just would have been better if the guy would have pulled the trigger and blown his head off as soon as they got into the basement.
Yeah.
I would have liked it better in that sense. Because
it would have blown my permanent disfigurement thing out the window.
True, but it would show that Wallace was screaming as a walrus because he just killed the guy.
Yeah.
And he's seen the guy holding the shotgun and he's screaming. He's making the walrus noises.
Right.
Okay. If the guy would have shot him, then, even if it's not what Kevin Smith meant, the argument could be made that he was crying out to be killed because he was still Wallace on the inside and he knew that he would never have a normal life. But
is that too much of a courtesy for a jerk? Like, is him shooting him at that point in his life doing him more of a kindness than keeping him as a walrus human?
See, here is my philosophy on punishment and crime and whatever.
Drinking episodes.
Living a tortured life or being killed to me are the same thing.
Sure.
So that question to me, it doesn't matter what the answer is. I could say, yeah, sure, torture him, or yeah, sure, kill him, because in one sense he's not living anymore. I don't know what I'm not about to say that I know what happens after we die, even though some people would. Or you could, because I mean, who knows? Maybe non-existence is as bad as existing, and besides, he's going to die eventually anyway.
That's true.
So what's the point? I wonder how much money's being wasted keeping him alive in that little enclosure that they have.
I wonder. That's a good point. Like, I mean, it didn't look like they filtered the pool much, but like, yeah, like they have to at least feed him mackerel every day.
Yeah. Or something. It's just
something.
It's just those fish pellets from Lost.
I hope it's just the fish pellets from Lost.
Okay. So, yeah, we got deep.
Yeah, we did. Get another beer.
Yeah. So one thing I like about this movie is the soundtrack. Like, I know I'm that guy, but I'm going to bring it up.
No.
So
yeah, I agree.
When he's going into the guy's house for the first time, the score is very much just drums, very reminiscent of the Fleetwood Mac song Tusk. So you got like that drum beat. I noticed it watching it this time. It's got like that drum beat. It's not Tusk, but it's kind of like the same thing. It's all toms and it's like upbeat. It's like, so when he's at the gas station and then driving up with a big gulp, like it reminded me of Tusk. And then the final battle being scored to Tusk is phenomenal. Did you guys expect that?
No, I didn't, but it was fantastic.
How did you feel about the Fleetwood Mac?
I love Fleetwood Mac.
That wasn't my question. How'd you?
That was a good way to answer it.
How's the score?
Okay, hang on a second. I am drunk and I can't hear really that well right now.
What did you think of Fleetwood Mac in the final battle?
Fleetwood Mac in the final battle. Yes, it was so good. It was good.
Ryan's a lightweight.
I
think I'm gonna bring out the whiskey.
Oh no, we'll turn to a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But no, I agree. Soundtrack was phenomenal in this. You brought up something that I really loved. I loved the kind of Canadian Clerks thing they did.
Oh, the Yoga Hosers?
Was that Yoga Hosers?
That's Yoga Hosers. That sets up the sequel to Tusk.
Yoga Hosers is a sequel to Tusk?
Hey, Ryan, did you know that Tusk is the first part of a trilogy? So, yes.
Guys,
this is part of the Great North trilogy. So it's Tusk, followed by Yoga Hosers, which is out and you can watch. And then the third one is Moose Jaws, which I think I've talked about before.
you have, and it's not out yet, right?
It's not out yet. They haven't filmed it yet. That might be next after Reboot.
I want to see Yoga Hosers so bad now.
Okay, well, here's the thing. We're taking a break from Kevin Smith after this week. We're doing a whole Kevin Smith week. We got to take at least 6 months off of Kevin Smith, if not a year.
I'm okay with it.
Because we've gone hard into Kevin Smith to the point where Ryan's always wearing sports jerseys and I'm always wearing backward baseball caps and talking with my hands a lot. So we need to take a break from Kevin Smith, but eventually we will do Yoga Hosers. I've never seen it. I want to see it. I know things about it that I'm really curious to see what Ryan thinks. It's out there. Like, if you think Tusk is bizarre, Yoga Hosers is a lot of talking Nazi sausages.
What? Yeah, I can't wait for this movie.
They're called
All right.
Bratzies.
Oh my god! Because of course they are. 6 months from now, I'm gonna have the best day of my life.
Yes, we will. That might be the 420 episode.
Oh, that's a good 420 episode.
So this is not part of the View Askew-verse. Supposedly, Jay and Silent Bob are going to show up in Moose Jaws, so it might connect.
They're going to steal the movie. Like, they're literally going to steal the whole movie.
Depends. It is Canada, so they're going to be out of their element.
Yeah, but you know what the thing is? Weed is legal in Canada, so they're going to be in their element.
That's true.
Maybe that's how Reboot
That's a good
ends.
point.
Maybe that's how Reboot ends. They go off to Canada.
I'd be okay with that.
I wonder if Moose Jaws is going to be kind of like the Canadian version of Lake Placid.
Possibly, but
I'm down for it.
Mm-hmm.
Was this the Canadian version of Human Centipede?
I think this is the stoner version of Human Centipede.
All right, I'll buy that.
Stoner version?
Stoner, yes.
Isn't Human Centipede the stoner version of Human Centipede?
I mean,
No.
Human Centipede 3 is the stoner version of Human Centipede.
God damn it, you stole my joke.
Good. Have you guys seen all of the trilogy?
I've seen the first one. I have not seen 2 or 3. But it's
Guys.
horror month.
I
Guys,
refuse. I refuse. I'm sorry.
Guys,
No.
the trilogy is a Human Centipede. It gets more diluted and less content the more it goes down, and that's on purpose. It is secretly a very brilliant trilogy of movies. You fight me on it.
I'm never going to, because I'm never going to see them. So you can hold your own opinions, and I just will never ask you about them.
Next
That's
year.
okay.
And you're just going to talk about it, like, okay, sure, you're probably right, because I have no frame of reference.
Oh, I love it.
Which, if it wasn't for you, I could definitely do that with this movie, but now I can't.
Aww.
So Ryan loved the movie.
We can tell.
No, here, for me to go into this movie critically and not just as like a viewer who didn't like it, but to go through it critically. I understand what Devon's saying, especially with how like the movie's shot and the way that it flows, and like with his girlfriend crying into the camera, and you get that handout, and you know, you get all of this stuff, especially with the old man explaining his story about the walrus as he goes. And like each time Wallace's situation gets worse, the old man explains more of his story, and it gets worse for him at the same time. To the point where like he ate Mr. Tusk like 2 hours before he gets saved. Like that
Didn't see that one coming.
See, like that, I figured that something happened to Mr. Tusk for him to be doing what what he was doing. He had to have died. Something happened with like he couldn't be rescued with him. Something. So him killing Mr. Tusk for food because he thought he had to fits, and I liked that. I really honestly did. It was just everything that like every moment in this movie that I could have been like, yeah, I definitely like this. Something happened to make me not fully be like, okay, like, no, I gotta move on. I gotta go on to the next thing. I liked how that when she stepped out of the car with the rolled up newspaper, I knew exactly what I knew exactly what it was.
Ryan just kind of stands up, like fed up with the movie. He's like, "That's a fish."
And that's when he got the beer.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think that's exactly what happened. So there's one thing I don't like about this movie, and I think I can say this about a lot of movies these days. I don't like Johnny Depp.
Okay, so that was Johnny Depp?
Yeah,
that was Johnny Depp.
The whole time I was like, either that's Johnny Depp or it's a really good like stand-in for Johnny Depp.
No, it's Johnny Depp, and Johnny Depp's daughter is the other yoga hoser.
Oh, that's his daughter?
Yeah, the short one is Johnny Depp's daughter. The tall one is Harley Quinn Smith, Kevin Smith's daughter.
That's fun. I like that.
So,
I'm with you. Johnny Depp's character felt very Wes Anderson for me in an almost off-putting way.
Yeah, he's the big problem I have with this movie. If you take him out of it and the only good scene that he has is the one with Michael Parks where he's like playing the slow guy. Like
yes.
Hit. And that's not because of Johnny Depp. That's all because of Michael Parks. Michael Parks steals this movie.
He absolutely does.
It's just him at the top of his game, just like chewing the scenery. And like Johnny Depp is just kind of there in that scene, but it's still like the best scene that he's in.
Yeah.
Because then Johnny Depp is chewing the scenery, and it's a whole different like menu of scenery that he's chewing. Like,
it
just doesn't
it's
fit.
too over the top. Yeah,
See,
it doesn't fit.
To me, after watching Kevin Smith's other movies, I didn't have a positive or negative feeling towards that character at all, because that's just what I expect from Kevin Smith. I just expect that one oddball thing that doesn't really fit.
The other thing that I wonder from watching the documentary is they filmed a lot of this in North Carolina and then took a break. They filmed in October and then took a break until December. Mm-hmm. And then they filmed the Johnny Depp stuff.
Oh.
And I'm wondering if that's the disconnect that I'm feeling. Like they took a long enough break from it that it lost something.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I don't even know what you guys are referencing with that.
Yeah. It's weird because like they shot most of this in North Carolina, like right around the time that I graduated college. It's like, hey, I should move to North Carolina and get some film jobs. And I almost did with Chad at one point. Like Chad was talking about going down there.
What a different turn of events. That would have been so interesting.
Yeah. But I was looking at the dates on like the slate when they were doing shots. I was like, I was working on a horror film that weekend, like those days. We were working on Ghosting.
Oh yeah, you were, yeah.
So it's like, oh yeah, so like I'm here making this horror thriller movie, and Kevin Smith was like a few states down shooting Tusk,
doing the same thing.
So.
That's cool. So what did you learn from the documentary that you didn't know going into it? Like, what cool fact could you impart on us that like is, because I read or listened to Kevin Smith's autobiography, and I learned a lot about like kind of the background of what happened in his movies, and it made me love and appreciate him as a human being and the work that he did a lot more than I think I would have if I was like, oh, it's a movie about stoners.
So the big thing that I learned was that the whole "you can live with me if you dress up like a walrus" thing was actually a thing. That's the most interesting thing I saw. The rest of it was kind of just like behind the scenes fun stuff.
Sure.
So just like different ways they did it. Like a lot of it's just Jason Mewes talking to the camera because he directed it.
Did he?
Yeah. So it's mostly him on camera, like just doing like upfront stuff. And at one point, like on the first day, he's talking to Kevin Smith, like just talking about how the day went. Justin Long comes up behind him and starts to go, like pretending to give a blowjob.
Good. Good.
The one thing that I saw from the documentary that makes me appreciate this film a little bit more is that everyone was having a blast. Like
Good.
Justin Long looked like he was having fun every step of the way, even when he's covered in the makeup for the mask for Tusk. Like
I don't see how one could not have fun making this movie. Like that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like I would have loved to have been on set making this.
Yeah.
And then I would have been drunk going to the premiere because I knew exactly what kind of monster that we just made.
Yeah. But like at one point, like Haley Joel Osment, like when they're shooting the zoo scene, like he just went off to the side where there were a bunch of them were just hitting golf balls. So it's like just it's like 5 minutes of Haley Joel Osment just hitting golf balls and then talking to Jason Mewes about his experience on the film. It's like, oh yeah, Kevin's like great to work with. And it's like really fun set. And I'm sad to be taking a break until December. The one fun story, Kevin Smith story I can tell you is that he fell through part of the set when they were constructing it.
Kevin Smith, no.
Yeah.
What happened?
So he was taking a picture of them building the arena where Mr. Tusk lives. So he was taking a picture on his cell phone. And he backed up onto something that wasn't meant to support any weight, and he fell down. So everyone's like going to help him, and then he's like, I'm gonna fall more, and he falls more, and he falls like 6 inches. So he's actually standing on the ground. But so it was more embarrassing than anything. But there's like the aftermath of him like falling through the set.
Oh no. That's fun.
Yeah, it's a fun watch. It's on his YouTube channel. So
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, I'm most of the way through it. I'm to the point where they're about to film the Johnny Depp stuff.
Oh, cool.
So,
Speaking of Johnny Depp again, the one scene that I actually like thought was a really good joke was when Johnny Depp's character is handing the guns to the two friends. And the kid from The Sixth Sense is like, no, I don't want the gun. And he's like, what? You're American. Take the gun.
that was the best joke in this. I will give you that. That's like.
Speaking of jokes in this, how did we feel about the podcast, The Nazi Party? So it was the butt of a couple of jokes. 13 when it came out?
2014 it came out, yeah.
2014 was a different time.
Yes, it was.
Like Nazis were funny to make fun of. Like,
I mean, if Ryan and I were douchebags, we could have totally named this podcast the Not Seen Party.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Yeah.
I like to think we're likable guys. I mean, at least I know I am. I don't know
not
about
terrible. I like Ryan.
Ryan. No, you're good.
I only heard half of that, so it's okay.
Hopefully the flattering parts.
Yeah. No, like, yeah, it's weird nowadays that like, I don't know how that plays now.
Yeah.
It's still kind of like, eee.
I think it's fine because it's what they were trying to do was that they were trying to be shocking because that's what their podcast was. It was talking about, current internet trend stuff is what is what their thing was. And even Wallace said that like their thing is like looking at videos of people making an ass of themselves or just that type of stuff. So I mean it fits. And so I really liked the another joke I liked was that when she was on the phone with the police giving them information and she's in the car and they asked for an updated picture and she goes, oh yeah, you just go to naziparty.com and the buddies he's in the driver's seat going, spell it for him. And then
yeah.
It was too late because they already hung up on her.
That was one of my favorite jokes in the movie.
So there's a lot of podcast stuff in this movie, like not even just the fact that they're podcasters. There's a lot of like in jokes to Kevin Smith stuff.
Yeah.
Devin, how much of it did you pick up on?
There's a lot of Fat Man Beyond stuff, like posters behind them in their like headquarters.
Well,
there's a lot of both of them being Batman and Robin.
This is before Fat Man Beyond was Fat Man Beyond. It was like the early days of Fat Man on Batman. So
I think that stuff.
I think a lot of that was more Hollywood Babylon than anything.
That makes sense.
I feel like the two of them are more of a play on Ralph Garman and Kevin Smith than they are.
Oh, that's just who I thought they were.
To the point where like Wallace's ringtone, the ooh more margaritas. That's a thing from Hollywood Babylon. That's
is it
that's
really?
their intro music to the segment that they do called Hollywood Helpers. It's just Ralph Garman doing his Al Pacino impression.
I love that.
So I picked up on that right away. I was like, oh my God, I know that. And I didn't know that the first time I watched this. Ralph Garman's in the movie. He plays the detective who's like,
oh my God, he does, doesn't he?
That's a BM for the PM right there.
Yeah, that's
Ralph Garman. So it was really nice seeing him act in this. He has a bigger part in Yoga Hosers.
Yoga. Same character?
No, different character. He plays
Interesting.
the
Kevin Smith style.
yeah.
He's the Ben Affleck of the North.
Yeah, but I in the behind the scenes documentary, I did see a thing that was like a poster for Couple of Dicks tour. Like they went on tour and it was a Couple of Dicks. So
Yeah,
Cop Out originally was supposed to be called Couple of Dicks. And they
Couple of
changed it.
Dicks. Yeah,
So that a lot of like in jokes if you pay attention to like on that wall.
yeah. I mean, and it was this. I mean, the production company was Smodcast. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think, is that just his production company now?
I mean, I think he still has the View Askew company too, but I think they kind of merged into one.
Which, like, only makes sense.
Like when I was in Red Bank for the Kevin Smith Signs Your Shit stuff, like the offices were still marked as View Askew Productions.
Was it just called Kevin Smith Signs Your Shit?
Yeah. That was the
that
name
makes
of the
sense.
event. Yeah. So in the event you're going to tomorrow, dating this podcast, is Buy Weed from Jay and Silent Bob. So
It is. I am so excited.
What another thing that I did pick up since we're talking about the podcast stuff is Kevin Smith would rewrite scenes the night before they shot them. So when they were shooting the podcast scenes, he rewrote them when he saw that there was a foosball table on set. Because he even said this to Jason Mewes in the documentary. He's like, that's how we met. We were playing foosball together and talking. Like that's how we got to know each other. So like he rewrote that whole scene so they're playing foosball and talking about this stuff.
That's cool.
So, yeah, that is pretty cool.
I just liked how he did a cynical look at podcasting.
Mhm.
Because you would have like one guy would say something, laugh, 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 laugh. Another guy would say something, laugh, 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 laugh. And it would, it was so overblown that it was
the beats of a podcast.
Yeah, it definitely was, and that I liked. I mean, because I mean, like I did like the opening, but it just.
Ryan, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
If this was the first Kevin Smith movie I made you watch, would you have watched any more after that?
Yeah, I would have had questions, major questions, but yeah, I would. I mean, because okay, if I would have seen this movie first, I probably would have enjoyed Clerks a lot more.
Okay.
And Chasing Amy a lot more.
Okay. Given that this is the first film in the Kevin Smith's going to shoot what Kevin Smith wants to shoot phase of his career,
I know where it's going.
How do you feel about Reboot? Like, is this dampen your hopes and
No, because now that I know that it's a trilogy and it's its own thing, and from what I've seen from the trailers of Reboot, I can I have confidence, not faith, but confidence that he is somebody who can have extreme ideas on either end of a spectrum and still hold to it. So
yeah,
I'm not like worried about anything else that he makes. It's just I have a feeling, just like what the podcast sounded like, was that he was laughing with a friend and came up with this ridiculous idea, and people jumped on and said, "Hey, we'll help you make this."
Yeah, that's the other thing
and
too.
he
like,
did. Like he made this for himself.
The whole thing was #Walrus Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So what they did was at the end of the podcast, they said, if you want us to make this movie, tweet out #Walrus Yes. If you don't want us to, #Walrus No. There was one guy, the story is there was one guy who said #Walrus No, and that's only because I want democracy to work.
I really love that.
Yeah. So
That sounds like a good Kevin Smith fan.
yeah. Kevin Smith's fans are pretty great. Like I got to hang out with a bunch of them at once. Like they're pretty
Yeah.
cool people.
Aw.
So yeah. So if you ever can get to a Kevin Smith event, I highly recommend it.
I'll let you know how tomorrow goes.
Yeah. Next time he's not doing the road show, next time he has a live podcast out here, we're going.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, was it? Yeah. You told me once that he said something about like somebody asked him a question or something about somebody how he lets people plug their own like work like whenever they ask him a question.
Yeah.
Is at an event. And something I remember you telling me that he said, like, it doesn't matter if other people like it or not, just do it for yourself.
hence the reason we're doing this podcast.
Heck yeah.
And I mean, yeah, definitely. And that's what I see in Tusk.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if this is something that he like puts on or that him and his family puts on and they just laugh all the way through it, then that's what it was made for. It was made for people on the West Coast who don't understand taste, like the one on the TV screen right now.
Aww.
You're welcome. Obviously, I don't mean that entirely.
I know. I have some taste.
But I mean,
Here's the thing.
just if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. I really didn't like this.
I mean, and that's, it's totally legit. But like, can we at least settle that it was a competent movie? It was well shot. It was well acted. Like, wasn't.
Yeah.
This was released by A24. And if you look at some of the shit A24 has put out, like they put out some pretty high quality stuff.
Really?
Ex Machina is A24, just off the top of my head.
That's A24. Oh, I love that one.
Have you seen Ex Machina?
What?
Ex Machina?
On the list.
It's got
Put it
Poe
on the list.
Dameron and General Hux from Star Wars and Laura Croft, Tomb Raider.
What does the title mean, or is it somebody's name?
It's pretty much
Latin.
about AI.
It's
Is that
Latin
a
for
horror
of the
movie?
machine.
Is that a
What?
horror? Would you consider that a horror movie?
Yeah, it is. It is of the same ilk as Black Mirror. It
Yeah.
revolves around the Turing test. Do you know the Turing test?
I'm pretty sure if you describe it, I'll know exactly what you're talking
It
about.
is the test to determine whether an artificial intelligence is in fact good enough to be perceived as human.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it is an absolutely wonderful Black Mirror-esque sci-fi horror movie, and I love it.
No, if it has to do with AI, I'm already going to like it because I'm already on the side of the fence of like AI is fine for like a video game and like learning, but
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay, so just looking through.
Oh,
the,
y'all are
so-
gonna love this movie
looking
then.
through A24. Some of their notable films are Lady Bird.
Oh.
First Reformed, Eighth Grade, mid 90s.
Oh man.
A lot of big like hits. The Lobster, a lot of
The
Ex
Lobster.
Machina, the last movie star, which was the last Burt Reynolds movie. So a lot of
Oh, wow.
indie stuff, like a lot of art house films, and Tusk is like the standout. That's like I don't know, like putting this up next to Ex Machina is kind of weird, but it's the same studio. It's the same people who released it. So
Not to be weird about it, but it sounds like what in its heyday and before all of the terrible stuff the Weinstein Company was.
yeah, the Miramax days.
Yeah, the Miramax stuff. Yeah.
I was looking at a DVD that I bought recently. It's a double feature of Kate and Leopold and Serendipity. I was like, I don't know
Oh.
what these two movies have in common, but then I looked at the case cleaning and I was like, oh, hey, they're both Miramax. That's why. Have you guys ever seen the director's cut of Kate and Leopold?
I've never seen the normal cut of Kate and Leopold.
Have you seen Kate and Leopold?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Have you seen the director's cut?
Isn't one of them she stays and one of them she doesn't?
Yeah. No, the ending is the same.
Okay.
One of them has Jamie and Cersei Lannister levels of incest, almost.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
no.
It's like her great grandfather or something,
Yeah.
right? It's like
What?
I think we have to put Kate and Leopold on the list.
It's
Just
going
for
in
Devon.
horror month, right?
Yeah.
Because of that.
no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Gonna,
It's,
that'll
it's
be a
actually
summer
really
movie.
good. It's like the second thing Hugh Jackman did after, like, right after X-Men. It was like Wolverine, Kate and Leopold, X2. Like that's everyone's
That's
introduction.
That's
to
really
Hugh
how it
Jackman.
went.
It's a weird progression.
Comic book movie, incest movie, comic book movie.
It's,
I love that comment. Just from
my
the
wife is just
background.
behind.
It's not
Yeah.
an incest
yeah.
movie.
It's pretty bad.
Is it?
The thing is, here's the thing though. I liked it.
Yeah.
It was one
it's
of the
good.
first, like, quote unquote, like,
We're not talking about Kate
chick
Leopold.
flick
This is the
movies or
Tusk
whatever.
podcast.
Whatever.
Let's talk more about Justin Long being a walrus. God damn it.
Walrus.
Walrus.
There was a walrus penis in this movie.
There was.
There was a walrus
There was.
penis.
There was
On the
fellatio.
mantle.
There was fellatio on a walrus penis in this movie.
It was a bit much. At that point, I was like, okay, guy, calm down.
Yeah,
I was
that's
trying
when.
to put myself in Justin Long's shoes in that scene. This very interesting person, and I'm filleting a fake walrus tusk. That's not what I would do.
No.
Or a walrus
You see,
penis.
Yeah,
and that's part of like the whole thing of like why like I didn't care. Like is when they pulled back the camera and they showed him as the walrus for the first time and how pathetic he was looking. The reason why I was laughing was because he got what he deserved. He's probably going to die like that. That's great, and that's really what like I thought, and it's because of everything that he did prior to that.
I mean, he wasn't relatable, but I think that was the point. Like, I don't think Kevin Smith wanted you to see yourself in him. Otherwise, I don't think his point would have come across as well.
I wanted to see myself in somebody in this movie, and I didn't.
Did you want to see yourself in the walrus suit?
No, I do not.
I saw myself in Girlfriend and in Haley Joel Osment a little bit.
I didn't identify with anyone in this movie.
Really?
I mean, okay, so no one is good in this movie.
I mean, no, but
everyone's
that's
kind of an
okay.
asshole. Like even
Yeah.
if Walrus is, even if Wallace the walrus, even if he is
I
an
love it.
asshole, like his girlfriend is still cheating on him with his best friend. His best friend's sleeping with his girlfriend, so they're like both not redeemable until like. Yeah, he goes missing and then they try to find him, but still, you've been
Yeah.
sleeping around behind his back.
That's a good point, and not the parts I was referencing when I said I related to them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a podcaster, so I identify with him on that level, but I'm not traveling
Yeah.
to Canada to make fun of a kid who lost his leg doing
Also
a Star
that.
Wars kid parody. So,
Well,
and then
so the thing
getting
is-
mad when he kills himself.
Well, exactly.
part
That's
was-
another thing. I was waiting for somebody at the bar to come up to him and be like, "What the hell are you talking about?" When he was on the phone.
the only thing I identify with Wallace with is that I also drive a Toyota. So,
Oh, there you go. That's a good connection.
I did recognize that. I was like, "Oh, it's Alan's car." It's like,
no, mine's smaller.
well, you know what I mean.
So-
it's basically Alan's car.
So I bought a Toyota Yaris recently. Very tiny car, hatchback, 2 doors. It's a small
Aw.
car, right?
It's a small car, but it's a nice small car.
So
Yeah.
it's got a lot more room inside than you'd think. First place I take it, I'm parking at this Greek food fest in a field. So this guy's directing cars. He's like, "Oh, wait. You go here. You're a small car. You can just back right into there." I was like, "Damn it." Like very first time.
Did you get good parking though because of it?
I did. It
Yeah,
wasn't
see,
bad.
there you
These are
go.
the
Yeah.
perks. Small cars are the best.
Yeah.
I got a small car. It's the best.
Yeah. Like if I lived in LA, it'd be perfect.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, when it comes to that, if the whole thing with what Kristen's boss with her company wants to do and expand up towards like Massachusetts, and he does open up an office in Boston, and we move up there, if we live is at an urban area, I'm trading in my Malibu and getting some type of like small city car. Like it's the first
Yeah.
thing I'm doing, like a Fiat or something. Like I know it's Boston, so I'm definitely going to be looking at, what small car does best in the snow, but
Yeah.
still like I'm going to get a
God,
small car.
We're gonna keep doing this podcast, and I'm gonna have to Skype with both of you. I'm just gonna be here talking
That'll
to
be cool
myself.
though.
Going back to Kevin Smith's autobiography.
Yeah.
Michael Parks is the guy in Red State that he was talking about with Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, it wasn't it?
Yeah. So he's in Red State and he
Oh.
steals a lot of the scenes. So at one point, Kevin Smith goes over to Quentin Tarantino's house to watch Red State with Michael Parks. And this is like the third time Quentin Tarantino wanted to watch this movie because he loved it that much. He's like, but Michael Parks, man, like, yeah.
That's cool.
I want to watch Red State.
I want to watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but I'm doing this instead.
Oh,
because of you, Devin. Because
You know
of
what?
you.
Not upset. Not
Yeah.
even a little bit.
I'm not either.
I have
Because
no
here's
guilt.
the thing: like, I was gonna stay after work and just go to the movies tonight, but
Yeah.
I got out of work like 4 hours early tonight. Is there anything else we want to talk about with Tusk?
There's a lot that we could nitpick with this because, I mean, it is just like what Devin was saying. It was well put together for what the movie was. It's just that I just did not like this.
I was where you are the first time I watched it, and then I gave it 4 years, 5 years.
You gave it half a century or decade?
No, decade.
You
Decade?
gave it half a decade to be able to watch it and be like, this is a silly movie. Did you hate it as much as I do the first time you watched it?
I remember getting up and like, I don't know what the fuck that was. It's like I was looking
Good
forward to this.
answer.
Like, I don't know. It was the first time in a long time. I was like, I don't think I like that. I usually find something I like. Okay, that was good. But it's like, I don't think I like that. And I had been listening to Fat Man on Batman and Hollywood Babylon at that point.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to Kevin Smith stuff, so I knew Kevin Smith. I was like, I like this guy. What the hell was that? I hadn't gone through and watched all the View Askew movies. I've watched a few here and there.
Yeah.
So I've seen like Clerks, maybe. But having watched everything that he's done and then going into this, like it makes more sense to me now.
It's him just making a movie for himself. Like that's how I see this film. I am never going to watch this again. The only time I would ever watch this movie again is if I was in a room with more than like 3 people and it was just like a hangout night and we couldn't think of what to watch. We just wanted to throw something on that would be funny to watch. It's the only time I would ever see this again.
Okay.
I'll watch it alone by myself.
So
and pay full attention.
So Drunk Alan's going to be an asshole to Sober Alan later on who has to edit this
Yay.
shit. So
Good,
we're doing Kevin Smith week. Do we want to make it all 5 days? We have 2 right now. We're going to do a third one with Reboot. I have a 4th.
What's your
And a
4th?
5th.
What's your 4th and 5th?
4th would be Red State. So it'd also be horror month.
I want to see it for me. If we don't see it for the podcast, Devin wants to see it for Devin.
I mean, he's going to do that. I want to see it too. Do you want to do Red State?
What's it about? I mean, I've heard of it, but
It's pretty much Kevin Smith like taking on Republicans.
okay.
It's pretty much his take on the Westboro Baptist Church. Like him just
That's right. And they protested his movie.
Hey, Red State. Is that no? I'm thinking of God Bless America. Never mind.
What is that?
Vein.
It's a similar vein.
That's a Bobcat Goldthwait joint.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That movie something.
Do we want to deep dive into Bobcat Goldthwait films? Because we can.
I would love to deep dive into Bobcat Goldthwait.
World's Greatest Dad. Have you ever seen that?
Dude,
No.
I'm not doing another Tusk. I'm not doing another Tusk.
Devin, I've got
transformed into a dad.
4 words for you to describe World's Greatest Dad. Full frontal Robin Williams.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm on board.
Of course you would be.
He wants to see his little genie.
Oh.
knowing Robin Williams and his personal life, I don't think it's a little genie.
That's true, though.
Just
Did you read
saying.
the book?
No, I didn't read the book, but I definitely know how much he loved sex.
Yes. He was.
Oh, 6. Oh.
Oh, no. Aw.
Hello.
Welcome to the drunk part of the podcast.
Yeah.
guys.
I am 3 twisted T's to the wind.
How much do you want to bet that he came up with Mrs. Doubtfire when he was role playing?
Oh no! Now you spoiled the character for me.
I have not gone back and watched Mrs. Doubtfire since he died.
You should.
I haven't
You
either.
really should.
I've had it ruined for me by YouTubers like Film Theory.
Why? What happened?
Because
What?
everything he does is super illegal and super creepy.
Well, yeah,
yeah,
it is, but
but
Yeah,
that's
but
what sets up the
endearing.
humor in it. That's
Is
what
that
sets
the
up
humor?
that's
Everything
what
Ace
sets up the
commit
humor.
crime.
Everything Ace Ventura does is not that illegal, and it's still funny.
Look. Here are my favorite parts of Mrs. Doubtfire, which, if he wouldn't have done any of it because it is super creepy, and illegal, would have never happened. Him and his gay brother putting on the makeup to make him Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, honey, I'm so happy.
I absolutely love that part. Second part, I love how he goes out there and rips the hood ornament off of James Bond's Mercedes.
That's a good way to put that.
I absolutely love at the end the back and forth at the restaurant.
Here's
Going back and forth. There's so much about that movie that I absolutely love. Plus, that movie is important for me when it goes to. Did he take his headset off?
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Yeah, my
And-
audio left.
And his and the little clip of Robin Williams as Mrs. Doubtfire jumping out from the hallway and sweeping on the floor listening to rock music is part of my baseball fandom, because whenever my team sweeps another baseball team in a series, in the one Cardinals group that I'm in, I post the GIF of that, as in we swept the team, and it's Mrs. Doubtfire
Aw.
jumping out and sweeping the ground, and then I put up how many brooms and how many games the series was. So the movie's very important to me.
I love that.
I had a Mrs. Doubtfire thing I was going to say, but I lost it.
Oh no.
After this movie, we need to do something that is like award winning, critically acclaimed. I need to clean the palette of this film.
So tune in next week when we do The Room.
Yes. Oh.
Oh, hi, Mark.
I love that movie. Like in a very non-ironic way.
Have you ever seen somebody kill someone from a TV screen? Through a TV screen? It's gonna be now.
So what do you have in mind that fits the Halloween theme?
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs?
Because I still cannot. We posted the. There's so much I want to talk about that film, especially because I was listening to our UC the Weird Al movie that we
UHF?
did. UHF. Thank you. I was listening to that, and UHF, our UHF episode was the one where Devon said that he saw Red Dragon but hadn't seen the other ones. And it reminded me of that today when I was driving, because I listened to them to make sure that everything sounds okay.
It reminded me of that last night when I was editing it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying.
And you all got angry at me.
I was the one that was angry at you, and I'm even more angry now because of this film. So you can just, everything's compacted right now.
So we need to watch Silence of the Lambs.
We need to watch Silence of the Lambs, and then at some point he needs to watch Hannibal. We don't have to do Hannibal, but he needs to see Hannibal at some point.
I've never seen Hannibal.
You've never seen Hannibal?
What is Hannibal? Is it the sequel?
Oh my god!
Yeah,
oh my
it's
god! Oh my
it's
god!
a sequel where Jodie Foster turns into Julianne Moore.
What? Really?
Yeah.
Which
Weird.
they do a good job of, because they lean on for a little preview for Silence of the Lambs and Hannibal. Eventually, when we do it, they do a good job with that switch of the actress, because they play the film to each of their strengths as an actress. So that's why I'm completely fine with the fact that they couldn't get her back, because they played to the new one's like strengths for what could for what she can do. So to me, I'm fine with that switch.
This has nothing to do with what we were just talking about, but I have a rant that I want to throw out there.
Oh my gosh. Also, first, Ryan, I am excited to see both of these things. Alan, I want to hear your rant.
Okay, so they make a big deal about getting the original Jurassic Park cast back for Jurassic World 3. I want to see Julianne Moore in this sequel. Like, bring people back from the sequels. Like, bring in Julianne Moore. Bring in Vince Vaughn, even though he died. Bring in the raptor who says Alan. Like, bring back all those characters.
The talking raptor.
Yeah, bring back the talking raptor. William H. Macy. He's not in jail. His wife is. Bring him back for the third one. Why not? Come on, let's get into it. Come on, Universal.
I would love to see William H. Macy in another Jurassic Park movie. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I mean, Shameless is ending. Like, what else has he got going?
Well,
right. What's his name? Alan Nedry's not definitively dead. We just heard him scream off camera. He can come back.
Yeah.
It was a good rant. I appreciate it.
I would actually, out of all of the characters past the first Jurassic Park movie, I would like, was it Julianne Moore?
Yeah.
I would like for her to come back,
mm-hmm.
and for her and Jeff Goldblum's character to continue their spat. Like, I don't want them.
Yeah.
I don't want them to be happily married. I don't want them to be happily divorced. I want them to be in the same spot in their relationship from Jurassic Park 2.
Anything else on Tusk?
I loved it.
Critically, I understand where Devon's coming from and why he likes it. I can understand why people like this film. But this is my Battlefield Earth.
Have
and
you
here's the
seen
thing,
Battlefield?
Ryan, I understand where you're coming from. I get it. Like, I get why you don't like this movie. I like it because I enjoy movies that are a little bit quirky and offbeat, and I have a really high tolerance for really bad movies. So I get where you're coming from, too.
Have you seen Battlefield Earth?
Clips.
That doesn't count.
And I've read a
it.
ton about it.
Have you read the books it's based on?
What, you mean the Scientology canon? Yeah, see,
I did.
I already know all of this.
I read Dianetics. I own Dianetics.
Why?
Because he lives in California.
Because
It's
the place I do improv is right across the street from the Scientology Celebrity Center.
Ooh, have you seen any celebrities going in and out?
No, because no celebrities go in and out anymore. But they keep setting up these very elaborate parties, and it's hilarious.
Like parties for other people to go in, or?
I think they set up these elaborate parties for like other people to go into the Celebrity Center, but I've never seen anyone at the parties.
Okay.
Like every time I'm like waiting in line to go see an improv show there, I always like can get like a little like glance through the trees, and it's always just like these like world-class looking chefs walking around serving food to no one.
Well, if you ever see anyone jumping up and down on a couch, it's probably Tom Cruise.
I want to see him.
That is
He
such an
sounds
old
delightful.
reference.
I mean, yeah.
That is such an old reference.
Yeah. I stand by it. Okay, if you ever see anyone jumping out of a plane from like the outer atmosphere, that's Tom Cruise. Is that a better
I
reference for you?
understand that one.
I would have said if you ever see somebody telling a woman with postpartum depression not to take pills, that's Tom Cruise.
That's an old reference too.
It's
That's like
better
a
than
year-
the sofa.
That's a year younger than the sofa one.
No.
Yeah.
That happened way after the sofa.
Mm.
Because he just didn't say that about his current wife. He said that publicly about another actress years after the fact.
If you ever get a glare for
Yeah.
somebody's bald head, it's John Travolta.
Is he still in?
Yeah.
Wow.
He finally got rid of the toupees though. So
Oh, good for him embracing it.
yeah.
Aw.
I mean, it's about 20 years too late, but hey, he got there.
Does that mean he's going to
As
be
long as he got-
portraying more villains that wear eye patches?
I think he should.
And we brought it full circle back to Battlefield Earth. Tune in next
Here we
week when we watch Battlefield Earth.
The scariest movie of them all.
Yes.
Actually, did you know that there's actually newspapers and magazines like national ones that they will make their film critics if they haven't seen Battlefield Earth to watch Battlefield Earth so they have a baseline to go off of?
Ew.
Like that's an industry standard. Like that's a legit industry standard.
I feel like there are
I love
worse
it.
movies than Battlefield Earth.
Oh no, there clearly are.
It's a good standard, though.
one day when we have nothing else to watch, we will watch Battlefield Earth. But this
I
week
can't
is
wait.
not that week. All right. So that does it for you have to watch this Tusk episode.
If this episode sounded really choppy, it's because half of it was edited out.
Yep.
Yep.
That's why. So for you have to watch this podcast, I'm Alan.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Devin.
I hate you.
Love you.
Bye.